This is Alec Coast, and I'll be interviewing my grandfather. Today is January 1st, and are you ready to begin?
I'm ready.
Okay, think back to when you were 16 years old. Where were you living?
We were living here in Cimarron, actually just about a half a block from where we live right now, and we lived there most of my high school year.
Who all did you live with?
At that time, there was my mother and my stepfather and my youngest sister, Rosemary.
And what age were you compared to this other sibling?
I'm the youngest of four in our immediate family, but in our extended family, the mixed family, I'm the youngest of eight. So they range a lot in age.
What did your stepfather do for a living?
My stepfather was a custodian at the Cimarron High School, and my mother was a teacher at Cimarron. I think she taught in the grade school originally, and then she got into, we used to call it remedial reading, but I think it's called Title IX now. So, and she taught for until she retired.
What was your favorite things to do when you had free time?
Well, we did a lot of bicycling. You know, everybody had bicycles back then, and running around. We played football and basketball outside, and that's pretty much what kept us entertained, anyway.
And what was your main method of transportation?
Um, when I was 16, my main transportation, I had a motorcycle that I'd bought in the summer before, and but mainly, you know, I walked to school, and so either walking or riding with somebody that had a car. I didn't have a car at that time.
And what was your first job?
My very first job was a paper route when I was in the 5th and 6th grade. And then eventually, after I got into high school and could drive, I worked on a custom harvest crew with my brother-in-law, Ronnie Burns.
And about how much would you say you got paid per hour at these jobs?
Very minimal on the paper route. It was something just to do. Me and another friend did all of Cimarron. But on harvesting, probably I was making $1.50, $1.75 an hour.
And what was school like at this time?
Well, I think school would probably be very similar to what you have now. We started at, I think school started at 8:30 and we got out at 3:30. We did have 30 minutes for an open lunch. So if you wanted to go home, you could, but we had a really good lunch program, so most of us ate lunch at school.
And what sports and clubs were offered?
Well, just about what you have now. Probably not quite as many. There was football, basketball, track. Then we had music and band, thespians or forensics. There was FFA and FHA FHA was for the girls. So.
Were there many opportunities to go to college?
Yes, the opportunities were there, and I would say a fair number. I honestly don't know what percentage of our class went to college, but a number of us started at junior college and then went on to four-year colleges.
And at this time, what was your main form of entertainment?
The main form of entertainment was basically dragging Maine. There wasn't a lot to do at Cimarron. We did go to Dodge sometimes to eat and go to the shows over there sometimes.
And where would a date happen?
Dates usually happened if there was something, you know, we had lots of dances in our time, kids' dances at the high school, and then sometimes on the weekend we'd have them down at the VFW. And if we went out of town, we usually always went to Dodge. We didn't go to Garden, but we'd go to Dodge and go to the movies. Or Pizza Hut was new, so we would go to Pizza Hut. And A&W Root Beer was new, so we would go there. So,
Did you have any favorite singers or bands?
oh, I think probably my favorite singers were the Beatles and the Beach Boys and the Mamas and the Papas, and I wasn't really a big Elvis fan, but I did like some of his music. So,
And who is the first president you remember having?
the first president that I remember is Eisenhower. I was fairly young, but I do remember seeing him on TV and hearing him on the radio some.
And can you say, or can you list some of the major events that happened in the country and around the world at this time?
Well, a little bit before our time was the Cuban Missile Crisis, which was, extremely scary. But I was just a sophomore. And then the Vietnam War was starting to crank up, and so we were starting to have some issues with that.
What were some of the new inventions of the time?
Well, I think the one that I remember a lot of is the color TV kind of came of age. We always had black and white TV, and color TV was starting to come around, but by then it was fairly good, so it was kind of fun. And I think maybe the use of jet engines for airplanes. That was something that was really starting to come of age about that time. Before that, they'd always used turboprops, and so it was kind of interesting to see the new jet airliners. So,
What were some of the common hairstyles and clothing styles of the time?
oh, hairstyles kind of ran the gamut, just like they do now. Some wore short hair, some long, but I would say most of the guys wore shorter hair. The girls had what they called the beehive thing, where it was all poofed up in the back, but that as far as hairstyles, and the guys wore short hair, and we used to have what we called butch cuts, which was short hair, and then it was long right in the front. And you get butch wax, and you get it all in, and then you comb it straight up. Kind of weird, but it was fairly popular back then.
And what about clothing styles?
Clothing, we had at that time, I remember corduroy jeans were kind of in, they were kind of cool, paisley shirts and bell-bottom pants, and so that was some of the things that I remember. Otherwise, we wore basically what we wear now, a lot of blue jeans and cotton shirts.
Was the Vietnam War a big concern of yours?
It was. Once I got into college, in high school, we knew about it, but we didn't really. It wasn't really, I would say, a concern. It was just something that we knew about, and as guys that we knew from the area that went to the service, that's kind of how we would find out about it. So, but yeah, it was. We knew that people were getting killed over there, so yeah, we were concerned.
And what did other people think of the war? Like you said, they were concerned.
Yeah, I think most people were fairly supportive of the war in the beginning, and we felt like that we were doing the right thing, and so yeah, at that time, they were. I would say most people were supportive of the war.
Did you have any interest in NASA? And can you tell me some of the things that they had accomplished at this time?
Well, NASA's always been an interest. I always wanted to be a pilot because my uncle was a pilot, and had done some flying with him a little bit. And then when I was I think when I was a junior, I had to get glasses, and so I knew I couldn't ever be a pilot in the military because at that time you couldn't be a pilot and wear glasses. So I was always intrigued by NASA, and I remember the Sputnik thing, and then I remember John Glenn, and so there was lots of things happening in the space program about then, and so it was something that I always paid a lot of attention to because I was interested in it. It's starting to dim down.
Okay, were there any other things that you would like to add? Any other interests?
Well, I don't think so.
Okay, then I think that sums it up. Thank
All
you
right.
very much, Grandpa.
You bet.